What's going on YouTube? Tristan Farquhar here, back with another video, and in today's one, we are going to answer a very pressing question. Yes, that's right guys, we are going to be answering the question of, which Landorus do you want to power up? Is it going to be the Therian form that's in raids right now, and was at one stage deemed to be the absolute unbeatable version of this Pokemon? However, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret that isn't a secret anymore because you're all going to know. And it's that it does not get the move Earth Power. See? Scroll down here. No Earth Power. It's been replaced by Earthquake and Superpower, which is actually not as super powerful as Earth Power, which is rather ironic. However, the thing is, do you want to power up this here Pokemon, this Landorus Therian form? Or do you want to do this and max out one of these guys, a Landorus Incarnate form, just like I have done today? Now, I'm just going to preface this by saying if you have enough XL candy to max either one of these, the chances are you're going to have enough Landorus candy, the standard stuff, to do both. And if I were you, I would do just that, both, because I'm going to presume if you have 296 XL candy, you're possibly a hardcore player and you have the starters to do both. So if that's the case, you can go ahead and leave the video now with my advice of that you should be doing both. But for the rest of us, because a lot of us won't have the required XL candy to do so, we are going to take a look at this, particularly from the PvP side, because I am a PvP channel. Before we get into the PvP side of this video, I'm going to say, here's your one with the higher attack stat. This, even with Earthquake, is going to be the second best ground type attacker. It's definitely the one that you should go with. So, with that being said, we are going to hop over to the rankings and we are going to check this out. So, here we are over on PvPoke with a nice ad down at the bottom. But what we're going to do is we're going to be here on the Master League ranking system. And what we are going to go ahead and do is scroll down here. You're going to see Landorus Therian XL and Landorus Incarnate XL. But that's not what we're here to look at today. We are going to go down a little further, just a small bit. There's Mewtwo, Zekrom, Metagross, Shadow Mewtwo, Excadrill, Dragonite. And as you can see, we've scrolled down to Landorus Therian form. Landorus Therian form right here at 84.1 overall rating with a grand number of 28. And now, oh, this has changed since I last looked at it. Now Landorus Incarnate has in fact gone lower with Rock Slide and Earth Power. This has actually changed since I looked at it earlier on today, because I certainly checked out before I maxed my own Landorus Incarnate form. So, we're going to take a look first at the Incarnate form here. We have a 650 rating against a Dialga. That's a victory. If you're not familiar with PvPoke, anything above 500 is a victory. A 528 victory over XL Melmetal, which is quite a good victory to have. Yes, it's a ground type, but you have to take into consideration the fact that Melmetal has Rock Slide and Neutral Attack, and it's level 50. It can chip you away quite nicely. Of course, beats Metagross being that Steel typing, beats Groudon, which is a fantastic win for any Pokemon to pick up overall in the Master League. And then Machamp XL, which is fairly good because, of course, Machamp was a Community Day Pokemon that a lot of people will have a certain amount of XL candy for. Now, its losses, sadly, number 1, Giratina Origin. I know what you're saying. Giratina Origin is just such a powerhouse in terms of this league. So, losing to Giratina Origin is not really fantastic. Now, go down here, Gyarados XL. I'm going to presume that's with Waterfall, because with Dragon Breath, the Rock Slide should do enough to do some fairly good damage. However, being that flying type, it does resist the more powerful Earthquake and Earth Power. From this particular version, this one does not have Earthquake. Mewtwo as a loss. Again, this is not as bad as you're going to see with the Therian form. Not as bad a loss at 639. And then Dragonite at 642. It can do some fairly substantial damage to the Dragonite by using the Rock Slide, of course, because it is super effective. So we're going to go along here. Mud Shot is what you want over Rock Throw, and then Earth Power and Rock Slide. It also has access to Outrage, which I'm sure you could exchange for maybe the Rock Slide as a more powerful option against Dragon types, and then Focus Blast if you really want to hammer Steel types in. You don't really need to use Focus Blast to do so because of Earth Power. So what we're going to do here is we're going to scroll back up, close this down, and go for Landorus Therian. Now this is only three spaces higher, and in between we have Latios and Kyogre. Kyogre being fairly good in Master League, Latios being more of a niche pick. In my opinion, the thing is fantastic. Other than that, not many people do use it. Now, you are going to see the stats of Landorus Therian form. Mudshot, Superpower, and Stone Edge is the suggested moveset across all matchups in the Master League by PV Poke here. And as you can see, it's got an 85.5 closer rating. It is its best overall rating between the lead, closer, and switch. And I'm just going to scroll back down so you can see that 85.3 is what it gets in its Incarnate form as a closer. Also a fairly good lead at 83.3. I've certainly fought several Incarnate Landoruses on lead in the Go Battle League. We're going to scroll back up here and we're going to see these matchups again. 679s are slightly higher against the Dialga, slightly higher against the Melmetal, lower against the Groudon, to my knowledge. Actually a win against Togekiss, which is phenomenal. That's an absolutely fantastic win to be picking up. Then we have Zekrom, which it does now defeat, which is really interesting, this one, for the Therian form without Earth Power. Now, scroll down. I know, another loss to that Giratina Origin. A loss to XL Metagross. Without Earth Power, it's completely overpowered by the powerful Steel type. A loss to Kyogre, of course, that's to be expected. And that's an interesting one. XL Mamoswine, something with a 4x super effective fast move recommended. And it's going to barely lose, of course, 505. I'm going to presume that that's about 3 HP in it. And of course, a heavier loss to XL Gyarados. So if any of those Pokemon are your weakness, you should possibly consider going over and using the Incarnate form of this Pokemon. So what we're going to do to finish up is we're going to show you the moves. Other than that, of course, Earthquake and Bulldoze. I suppose you could use Earthquake. It might skew some of those matchups in your favour or against your favour. I personally am not the biggest fan of Superpower in the world, but as I say, we are going to hop on over here to the percentage rating. The win, this is in the one shield apiece scenario, it's going to be 79.7%. And if we scroll up here, we are going to take a look at the Incarnate form of Landorus, hit the battle button, and we see 73.8%. And you may be saying, well, Tristan, how come you're recommending to me to use the Incarnate form of Landorus when it's clearly got lower stats overall in terms of wins? And I'm saying, well, it doesn't actually have that much lower of a stat. The increase in attack potential from the Therian form is completely offset in terms of having Earth Power, which is a fantastic move, not only in PvP, but also in PvE. And I do feel like I'm going to get a fair few interesting comments on this video, hinting at the fact that the attack stat rules all, but having that better defense, 2 extra points defense, in terms of this in the PvP is phenomenal for just being able to clinch many of those slight matchup changes. As you're going to see here, some very, very similar weaknesses. The Abomasnow, all these ice types, it absolutely hates to see. But the real thing that I want to show you guys to possibly sway you in the way of Incarnate form Landorus is if we scroll right down here and we find Mewtwo Shadow sitting around at 113 rating. Shadow Mewtwo is fairly common. I'm just going to scroll through here. We find Mewtwo Armored. But Shadow Mewtwo is fairly common in this league, at least in terms of my own experience. It's a dreadful Pokemon to come up against. We all know of the pure raw power. And I'm just going to go down there, double check again to make sure that I am correct. And yes, we see 113. So if we hop along to our incarnate form of Landorus, and we scroll on down, and we hit the battle button before we go that far, we can see 113. This is going to be exactly the same at 113. That's with Psycho Cut, Psy Strike, and Shadow Ball. Again, a lot of these ratings are changing consistently. And we have a fairly okay loss, I suppose, against Giratina Origin there at 315. So, I know this is fairly stat heavy, but it's just to show you guys that you don't necessarily have to max out the Therian form of this here Pokemon, this Landorus. It's not that far ahead. It's got some certain wins, some certain losses that even the incarnate form can cover for. So if you guys do prefer the incarnate form, I know a lot of people don't like Landorus in general, particularly VGC players. We'll all be fed up of this Pokemon and Generation 7's Incineroar by now, if you know, you know. But either of these Pokemon work very well. I'm going to be sure to bring you coverage of my maxed out Landorus, the incarnate form, the minute the Go Battle League Master League comes along. And for those of you guys who actually care about my videos, there's a battle video that's definitely going to be coming out tomorrow, highlighting the Great League Remix Cup, which is only around for another little while. It's in fact 1 week. So I hope this video today has helped you decide what you're going to spend your XL candy, or not your XL candy, if you have that amount, wonderful news for you, but your regular candies and your Stardust on, and potentially even to unlock that secondary move. As I've said, just to summarize once again, both of the forms of Landorus are very, very tightly matched. I mean, last night, when I looked at this, in fact, the incarnate form was ahead of the Therian form. So maybe hold off for a little while, just until the rankings settle down and we see exactly who the true winner between these two Pokemon is. The final thing I'd like to say is that Landorus Therian is going to be the more common one in Go Battle League. Everyone who hasn't watched this video, haha, it's a bonus to be subscribed to me. But everyone who has not seen anything like this video will be using the Therian form of Landorus, in my opinion, because it's seen stereotypically as the better overall version and is certainly the budget option, being that it's so much better in raids. But Landorus Incarnate beats it. I've seen already that it does beat it by a hair, and that is a huge win for the Incarnate form. So I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave you with that food for thought, just to see exactly what you guys do want to max out. And I'm just going to show you once again that I have done, not you, but you, the incarnate form of Landorus, and I'm ready for when I get the Stardust back again to give it the secondary move. So with that being said, guys, thank you very much for listening to me go on about all these statistics. I really hope that you do enjoy this video right here, and go ahead and max out whichever one you do prefer and whichever one you can build the team around to cover that team's weaknesses. So with that being said, guys, Tristan Farquhar out. See you later, guys.